Yeah, I feel really bad. I feel like dirt. It's not because I'm hungover or any acting jobs I did. It's to see what happened to a friend of mine. You know, I used to rent from this guy off and on for 9 years. When I was in the States, I'd hang out at his place, pay rent, to stay there and all that. And then, then I'd go back overseas and stuff. And then this last time I see him, he's really skinny and his eyes are sunken in and his hair's gone. And what's left of his hair is like all white. And I can tell something's seriously wrong with him. And then after a week, me being back, he finally tells me what's up with him, why he looked that way. And he had been on chemotherapy for a year and a half of his life. A year and a half of his life before I saw him this last time. And I started telling him, well, you got to drink a lot of fluids. Got to eat a veggie diet. You need to freaking exercise. You need to go for a walk because it helps circulate the medication or the poison. I mean, that's what really is it's poison or medication, whatever you want to call it, that's supposed to get rid of the cancer before the cancer gets rid of you. But, because I was on chemo for a year myself and it worked. But I had to go to a different country to get the right chemo because the insurance companies here were too damn cheap to pay for it. That's another story. But so anyways, I see him, I start giving him advice and all that stuff. I mean, I'm no doctor, I've just walked down that road before. And so one day he's at the bottom of the steps, and me and this other best friend, and he's like, he doesn't know what day it is, and his sister's supposed to give him a ride to the hospital. And I said, well, I'll give you a ride. Do you want to ride to the hospital now? We'll go to the hospital now. And I would have taken him to a better hospital right off the bat. And he had new insurance kick in, which he could have gone to the better hospital and gotten better treatment. And then so I saw he was pretty disassociated and pretty battered up, because like a week before that, it seemed like he deteriorated really quick. And a week before that, he said, oh, they have this new chemo or one that's going to work, that's going to target the specific cancer he had. And I think they gave him the death shot or something, because he was definitely different. But he had a strong will to live. He fought for a year and a half on chemo to live. The guy wanted to live, and he had a really strong will. Most porn directors do. And he had, because he was a porn director back in the day when you could make a lot of money, and I don't know, he's worth $3 or $4 million or more. And so anyways, all of a sudden I hear that when his sister gets him and takes him to the doctor, he ends up in a hospice, and he requests that he be by his house that's a roommate went to that was there before. He requested for that, and his sister denied that request. And then he asked to die at home, and his sister denied that request. And I don't know what else he asked for, but I asked to visit him in there, and they wouldn't let me visit him. And they wouldn't let his best friend visit him. And I would ask him when they'd see him, is he on an IV? Is he on fluids? Is he eating or whatever? And they say he's not eating and he's really disassociating. And, he's not getting his fluids. And that's what you do when you torture somebody. That's the first thing you do, is you don't let them sleep. And you cut their fluids. Before you go to harsher measures, So basically, he'd been tortured by chemo for a year and a half. And now he's getting tortured. He's getting denied IV fluids and getting denied liquids and stuff. And before he left, I had every sense that this guy wanted to live and that he was hanging on for dear life, that he wasn't going to give up the fight. And so finally they said, well, he wants to die now or whatever. And well, I wonder why. You know, they dehydrated him and didn't give him food from IV or water from IV, saline solution. And I never heard him say that, because the last time I saw the guy, he was willing to do anything to stay alive and he didn't want to die. And they're claiming that he wanted to die, that he lost his will to live. And that's kind of odd. You know, that all of a sudden now he wants to die and he didn't before. So they all knew what he was worth and his house was worth and all that, all the family members, and I could be wrong. It could be coincidence, but I think they were after his assets and they wanted him out of here as quickly as possible once he last went into the hospice. And they said he changed his tune, that he wanted to die, that he wanted to pass away. And he requested that he wanted to be at home, you know. And I should have freaking got an address. That's why I feel bad. I should have gone and forced him to see the guy or whatever and make sure that he's getting the fluids and all that stuff, that they're taking care of him. And they weren't. So he's just, I'm like, are they giving him pain medication? I mean, you know, it's sick. It's freaking sick. It's inhumane to do that to somebody. And your own family doing that to you on your deathbed. So, like a week before that, you know, I saw her enter his room and I throw all these clothes out in the hall and all that stuff. And I thought, well, good, she's doing his laundry and all that, cleaning up the place for him to come back. She was just digging around for assets for his will, for the bay, you know, for musical instruments and whatever. But it was all about the money. That's what that was about. And then she made sure to get all the paperwork signed and over to him, over to her, so she has control of all the assets, as far as I know. And then, like, you know, the guy, before he passed away, he promised some things to his brother, and he had some things verbally that he was willing to do. And the other brother, it seems like he's not even going to get, you know, the assets that he was asking for. And that her husband, who's a doctor, he wants those assets, and so they're going to come over later today and look at him and stuff. Unfrickin' believable. Unfrickin' believable for the money. They just wanted him to die, just to curl up and die, and take everything they could as cheaply as possibly as they could, to have him die as soon as he could and as quicker. And then the other brother, that's an attorney, is threatening him that if he doesn't get his share of the pie, he's going to go after him legally. And he's going to spill the beans on about something that would probably cost the state about $2 million or more, from what I know about the price of chemotherapy, you know. And then the other brother, just, he's in shock. He's semi-compassionate, but he's a total scam artist for conniving himself, you know. And he wants his slice of the pie, and then the sister, I guess, has got the whole pie. And I don't know what's going to happen with that. But I feel really bad that I feel kind of pissed off that I wasn't allowed to go see him or his best friend, either one of us. And he requested to see him, his best friend, and they wouldn't even grant him that, and they wouldn't let him die at home. His last request in life, since they got him beaten up and tortured enough, theoretically, that he wanted to die, you know, which, like I said, you know, I saw the guy like a week before, and he didn't sound like he was ready to give up the fight. So they just tortured him enough to where he wanted to die. Maybe even if he really did, you know, which is kind of hard for me to believe. And I don't know what to do. I guess I'm venting, just making this video about it. That's really all I can do. But I'm really angry to see somebody get treated like that, get treated inhumanely in the last days of their lives for money, for the almighty dollar. Family members just fighting. And right now it's at the stage where, from what I can see, the fighting's just going to begin. You know, it's going to get nasty. And then, like, I'm overseas in a week. I'm gone. I guess you can get away with legally murdering somebody, you know. It's like if you go up to somebody and you blow them away with a gun, or you put poison in their food, that's one way, but that's another way you can do it too. And I think that's what happened. I just, yeah. That's what happened. So he had a bunch of three-quarter masters. Like I said, he was a filmmaker, artistic filmmaker, pornography director, whatever you want to call him. But that's how he made his bread and butter back in the day when you could make money at it. He knew all the freaking porn stars and all that stuff, but he has like three-quarter, back then, back in the day, that was the best of the best. When he was doing it was when all they had was three-quarter broadcast quality for video. And so that's what all of his tapes are, and he's got all these tapes and all that stuff, and they're just going to toss it in the garbage. I don't know, maybe they'll try to sell some of it or give it back to some of the porn people that he was involved with. You know, it's like a legacy gone, and somebody tortured to the very end, you know. And all three of them are going to fight. And then the other guy, the mooch, he frickin' moves in my room. So he's like, oh, I want this room when I, you know, well, like, I'm out of here on this and this date, and I threw him back out of the room, and he's like trying to guilt trip me about how he's gonna have to sleep on the kitchen on the floor or whatever, but, you know, and then he's frickin' trying to mooch food off me and all that stuff. I mean, Jesus. How frickin' pathetic. How frickin' pathetic. You know. It's horrible. And I'll be out of there in a week. There's nothing really I can do, you know. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. I shoulda frickin' just grabbed him and taken him to the hospital when I had a chance. The right one. Where he'd get the help and he wouldn't get tortured to death. I guess from what I can see on the internet, this has happened to other people, and they do it deliberately, you know. But like I said before, when I saw the guy a week and a half earlier, he had every intention, every aching bone in his cancer-filled body wanted to live. So I don't know how that changed, but other than like when you dehydrate somebody and you don't get food, you torture them. But he freaking hung in. I mean, on the flip side, we can say, well, you know, he lived a year and a half or whatever, but I don't think he would have stuck it out that long. And flip side, we can also say, well, he was gonna die anyways, but maybe if he would have gotten the right help and the greedy people would have given him the right help, then maybe he'd be around and maybe it'd be gone, maybe it wouldn't. But to see somebody tortured like that to the very end, and then to see the frickin', yeah. So that's it.